Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, how have you been? I hope you all have been great. So my name is Azzahra Muharmah and I am going to be explaining about all of the material that I have studied throughout this second semester to fulfill my final exam task given by Miss Anis Komaria. So without any further ado, let's go to the explaining session. Speaking is the delivery of language about something someone wants to express towards mouth. In relation with speaking, I am now going to explain about phonetics and phonology. So what is phonetics? Phonetics is a branch of linguistics that studies about the production of speech sounds by human. And there are three types of phonetics, such as production, transmission, and perception. And what about phonology? Phonology is a study about sound patterns and meaning, especially different patterns of sounds in languages. And there are four branches of phonology, such as segmental phonology. Segmental phonology analyzes speech into discrete segments, such as phonemes. And then the second one is suprasegmental phonology. So suprasegmental phonology analyzes those features which extend over more than one segment, such as intonation and stress. And the third one is diachronic phonology. It studies the patterns of sound system through the history of language. And the last one is synchronic phonology. Synchronic phonology studies the patterns of sound regardless of the process of historical change. Now, I am going to talk about the production of speech sounds. So how speech sounds is produced? Speech is produced by an air stream from the lungs, which goes through the trachea and the oral and nasal cavities. It involves four processes. First, initiation. Second, phonation. Third, oronasal process. And the last is articulation. The first process, called initiation, is the moment when the air is expelled from the lungs and the process continues to the larynx. After it has gone through the larynx and the pharynx, the air can go into the nasal or the oral cavity. Through the oral nasal process, we can differentiate between the nasal consonants and other sounds. And finally, the articulation process is the most obvious one. It takes place in the mouth, and it is the process through which we can differentiate most speech sounds. So when we are talking about speaking, we can't forget to talk about alphabet. So here I am going to explain about International Phonetic Alphabet, or IPA. So what is IPA? IPA is an alphabet developed in the 19th century to accurately represent the pronunciation of languages. So the IPA can be used for broad and narrow transcription. For example, in English there is only one T sound distinguished by native speakers. Therefore, only one symbol is needed in a broad transcription to indicate every T sound. If there is a need to transcribe narrowly in English, diacritical marks can be added to indicate that the T's in the words tap, pat, and stem differ slightly in pronunciation. And what about phonemic chart? The phonemic chart is a tool commonly used to help learners understand and produce the sounds in English pronunciation. It is comprised of a set of symbols, and each symbol represents a sound of the English language. Phonemic charts are useful for learning English pronunciation because the spelling of a word in English doesn't always tell us how it is going to sound. The phonemic chart is also useful for practicing pronunciation because it enables you to visualize the individual sounds you are having trouble with in English and practice those sounds accurately. Learning the phonemic chart is also great because it helps you see out how the sounds in English are related. By knowing the chart, you can see which sounds are voiced, where your vocal cords make a noise, and which are unvoiced. For example, the sounds of Z and S, Z and S. So put your fingers on your throat, then say Z. After that, do the same thing and say S. Can you feel the difference? So your fingers should feel a slight vibration with the first sound but not the second. Okay, we try to repeat the Z one. Like Z. It has vibration, but the S one, it doesn't have vibration. So your mouth is the same shape when you make both sounds, but Z is voiced and S is unvoiced, right? As you can see at the phonemic chart, there are vowels and consonants. Now you will expect, what am I going to explain, right? I am now going to explain about vowels and consonants. So what is vowels and consonants? A vowel is a speech sound made with your mouth fairly open, while a consonant is a sound made with your mouth fairly closed. Okay, I'll give you an example. For the vowels one, A, Allah. E, I, O, and U. You can see clearly that my mouth was fairly open, right? A, E, I, O, U. And what about the consonants? B, C, D, F, G. You can also see that my mouth is fairly closed when I say consonant sound, right? So earlier, I gave a brief explanation to you all about vowels and consonants. Now we are going to the detailed explanation. So first, I am going to explain about vowels. And I want all of you now repeat each of the following vowels several times in succession, paying close attention to what your tongue body is doing as you move from one vowel to the other. Okay. I and U. I and U. I and A. I and A. U and A. U and A. A and A. If you are like most English speakers, you should have noticed that your tongue body moves backward and forward in the I or U pair. It is further forward during I and further backward during U. I, U. I, U. Similarly, your tongue body is closer to the roof of your mouth during U than during A. U. U. Than during A. And your jaw is probably also opening wider during the A to help increase the distance between the tongue body and the roof of the mouth. And your tongue body is higher, closer to the roof of the mouth during I than during A. I than during A. Your tongue body is higher. A. And you might also be able to feel the I as somewhat further forward than A. Okay, finally, your tongue body is further forward during A than during A. So your tongue body is forward A than during A. Am I right? You can also practice this and try to observe this. Alright? So do you guys know that a vowel has two branches? There are two branches of vowels. It is long and short vowels. A long vowel sounds like the name of the letter. For example, a long A sounds like the letter A, and a long E sounds like the letter E. So, when does a vowel make a long vowel sound? So this usually happens one of two ways. The first way to make a long vowel sound is to put two vowels next to each other. When two vowels appear next to each other, the word usually makes a long sound of the first vowel. This is the case in words like bead, bead, seed, meal, and boat, boat. Notice how the word bead makes the long E sound and the word male makes the long A sound, right? And the second way to make a long vowel sound is to place an E at the end of the word. Placing an E at the end of the word also creates a long vowel sound. This happens in words like bake, bike, moat, and mute. So, do you all notice how the word mute makes the long U sound and the word bike makes the long I sound? Of course you do, I know that. Now, the short vowels one. In many words, vowels do not make a long sound. They make a short vowel sound instead. How can you tell the difference? So, finding short vowels is actually pretty easy. If it doesn't sound like any of the vowel letters, then you know it's a short vowel. Short vowels usually sound like the following. A, as in apple, apple, apple. It's a short vowels. E, as in egg, egg, egg. I, as in insect, insect, insect. O, as in bug, bug. U, as in talk, talk. So let's take another look at our example words, bug and boggle. Notice how the word bug does not have the long U sound than the word boggle does. The word bug has a short vowel sound. And finally, I am going to explain about two ranges of vowels, which is diphthongs and triphthongs. Diphthongs is a single syllable vowel sound in which the beginning of the sound glides to another, slightly different vowel sound. So for example, boy and annoy, that occurs in the vowel digraphs oi and oi. Found and pout, that occurs in the vowel digraphs o and o. And now we discuss about triphthongs. So triphthongs is a single syllable that may contain three vowel sounds that quickly glide together. So for example, hour and flower, that occurs when the digraphs o is followed by an r. Hour, flower. Symbol and transcription. What is symbol? So, phonetic symbols is the symbols that represent the sound produced by organs of speech. For example, E for wand, A for have, U for alive, again, mother. And what is transcriptions? Phonetic transcription, also known as phonetic scripts or phonetic notation, is the visual representation of speech sounds or phones. For example, E. The transmission is tense, mid, front, and rounded vowel. The word is bait, mate. And the second example is A. So the transcription is low, front, unrounded vowel. And the word is plate, have. And the last example, O. The transcription is lax, mid, central vowel. And the word is, again, sova. Sova. Now we are going to explain, I am going to explain about place of articulation and manner of articulation. So the place of articulation refers to where the articulators like tongue, teeth, lips, or glottis make contact in the vocal tract to create consonant sounds. And you know what? There are 7 places of articulation, such as, first is bilabial. So bilabial is when there is contact between the lips. Bilabial. And the second one is labiodental. So labiodental is when there is contact between the lower lip and the upper teeth. And the third one is dental. So dental occurs when there is contact between the tip of the tongue and the area just behind the upper teeth. And the fourth one is alveolar. So alveolar occurs when there is contact between the tongue and the alveolar ridge. So this is the ridged area between the upper teeth and the hard palate. The fifth one is palatal. So palatal occurs when there is contact between the tongue and the hard palate or alveolar ridge. Sixth, post-alveolar. So post-alveolar occurs when there is contact between the tongue and the back of the alveolar ridge. And the last one is velar. So velar occurs when there is contact between the tongue and the soft palate. Now we are going to the manner of articulation. In phonetics, manner of articulation is about how sounds are produced by the articulators. And there are 5 manners of articulations, such as plosive. So plosive is a short or quick release of air after closed structure. For example, p and b, p and b. And the second one is fricative. So fricative is closed structure that creates friction when air is released. For example, s and s, s and z, zip and sit. Third one is affricative. Start with producing a plosive and blending immediately into fricative. For example, ch, ch, and ch, ch, in chair and ch, in jump. Fourth is nasal. Air is released through the nasal passages. For example, am in mirror and in name. Fifth is approximant. Close proximity of the articulators without causing any closure or friction. For example, are in words like rose, run, and red. Manner of articulation is also categorized into 2 further categories. There are voiced and voiceless sound. If there is a vibration in the vocal cords during sound production, the sound is voiced. For example, while making the sounds B and D, B and D, B and D, you can feel the vibration, so it is voiced sounds. But if there is no vibration in the vocal cords during sound production, the sound is voiceless, like the sound you make when you whisper. For example, when making the sounds F and S, F and S, you can feel that there is no vibration. Syllable is another important concept in English pronunciation. Syllables are the building blocks of a word. Unless we understand syllables, we will continue to make mistakes in pronunciation. For example, reflect has 2 syllables. Reflect, reflect. Back has only 1 syllable. Back, back. And it forms the whole word, like reflect 2 syllables, back 1 syllable, and it forms the whole word. A syllable can have three parts, such as onset, nucleus, and coda. The onset and the coda are consonants or consonant clusters, and these appears at the beginning and the coda appears at the end of the syllable. And the nucleus is a vowel which forms the core of the syllable. For example, pin, P and the first and the last alphabet as the onset, and the coda, P as the onset and as the coda, while the I as the nucleus. And fry, F-R-Y, and this word has the onset and nucleus, but not coda. Am I right? Of course, I'm right. Syllables have two types. There are strong and weak syllables. We can always observe this type of syllables, like the strong and weak syllables, based on length aspect. Length aspect, what is it? So strong syllables are longer than weak syllables. And based on loudness aspect, strong syllables are louder than weak syllables. And quality aspect, strong syllables have vowels that differ in quality from the vowels of weak syllables. So I will give two examples of weak forms of syllables. The syllable is weak when it has the short vowel, or schwa. I mean, schwa, Example, better, better. The second syllable is weak, better. So the bad is the strong one, better, better. And the syllable is weak when it has the closed front unrounded vowel, or I. Example, city, city. The second syllable is weak, city. The C one is strong. Now I am going to explain about stress timing, so we can illustrate with almost any word of two or more syllables. For example, syllable. We stress this word using the pattern O, O, O. Syllable, syllable. So placing primary emphasis on the first segment of the word. In English, every long word has its own stress pattern. Think of the words impact, import, and record. So for example, and both words can be pronounced using either the pattern OO or the pattern OO. Which pattern you use fundamentally changes the meaning of the word. For example, import, import, and record, record. The words that were described were called simple word. Simple in this context means not composed of more than one grammatical unit. So that, for example, the word care is simple, right? While careful and careless are complex. Carefully and carelessness are also complex. So complex words are of two major types. Words made from basic stem word with the addition of an affix, and compound words which are made of two independent English words, like ice cream, armchair. These are examples of stress in simple words and stress in complex words. Simple words examples are photograph, photographer, photographic. So the difference is like in the the first one, photograph, photograph, photographer, photographic. And for the complex words are unpleasant, 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 goodness. Problems in phonemic analysis. So phonemic analysis is the process of analyzing a spoken language to figure out what its phonemes are, what the allophones are, of those phonemes and what each elephant's distribution is. So there are 5 problems in phonemic analysis, such as the English vowel system and syllabic consonants. Third one is clusters of plosive. So words like spill, still, skill are usually represented with the phonemes P, T, and K following as. But however, many writers argue they can still be transcribed as B, D, G instead. And then for the fourth one is schwa. So schwa argues that the phoneme symbol O should be used for representing any occurrence. And the last one is distinctive features. So distinctive features is based on the principle that phonemes should be regarded not as independent and indivisible units, but instead as combination of different features. Now I am going to explain about function of intonation. So there are function of intonation. If I'm not mistaken, there are 5 functions of intonation. First one is attitudinal function. In attitudinal function, it means we use intonation to express our attitude, our expressions, our emotions. For example, when we say good morning to someone with rise tone, good morning, it means we are excited. We are happy to tell them. But what if we say it in fall tone? Like, good morning, good morning, good morning. This means we are maybe feel tired or bored or still sleepy, right? The second function is the grammatical function. The grammatical function of intonation helps us identify grammatical structure. For example, he's past his accent. He's past his accent. While he's past his accent, he's past his accent. So there is difference, right? Like he's past his accent is a pure statement, and he's past his accent is a question. So now we go to the third function, the focusing function. The focusing function shows what information in the utterance is new and what is already known. So for example, I saw a man in the garden. I saw a man in the garden. We use the fall tone. I saw a man in the garden. We focus on the man. I saw a man in the garden. So the answers will be, whom did you see? Or what happened? While the I saw a man in the garden. I saw a man in the garden. So we are focusing on the saw. So the answer will be, did you hear a man in the garden? Now the fourth function, the discourse function. The discourse function almost has the same meaning with focusing function. But in discourse, it only has fall tone to 1 or 2 syllables. For example, telephones, telephones, telephones. Okay, remember. So I am going to use the fall tone in the first syllables. The telephone's ringing. The telephone's ringing. The telephone's ringing. The kettle's boiling. The kettle's boiling. So in the discourse function, we have to focus on the syllables, not the word. Now, the last function, psychological function. The psychological function organizes speech into units that are easy to perceive, memorize, and perform. For example, you can have it in red, blue, green, yellow, or black. It's more difficult to understand, right? Like we use the level tone in red, blue, green, yellow, and black. It is difficult to understand. But what if we change the tone with You can have it in red, blue, green, yellow, or black. It's more understandable, right? In aspects of connected speech, suprasegmental, there are 7 aspects. First is rhythm. So rhythm is a form of structure that plays an organizing role in speech. For example, good evening, dear. That's the rhythm. Good evening, dear. It's almost the same like tone, but the rhythm is more like you add a little sing, a little music on it. And the second one is assimilation. Assimilation is concerned with one sound becoming phonetically similar to an adjacent sound. For example, handbag. Handbag is often pronounced handbag. Handbag is often pronounced handbag. And hot potato is often pronounced as hot potato. Hot potato. The third one is elision. So elision describes the disappearance of a sound. For example, I don't know. I don't know. The original one is I don't know, but we said it with I don't know. I don't know. And camera. The original one is camera. Camera, but we said it with camera. And fish and chips. Fish and chips. The original one is fish and chips, but we said it like fish and chips. Fourth one is linking. So linking or connecting is the marvel where words or sounds are linked together. For example, red dress. Red dress. We have 2D sounds together, so the two words share the sound. So the two words share the sound red dress. Red dress. Fifth is liaison, refers to the linking of the final consonants of one word with the beginning vowel A, I, E, O, U, or vowel sound, generally H and Y, of the following word as in the following example. The word is written like vos imites, but we read it like fuzimite, 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 fuzimite. Sixth one is juncture. So juncture is the transition from one segmental phoneme to another. An example is ice cream and ice cream, which is employed in the chant ice cream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. Ice cream, you scream, give me that ice cream. Last is contractions. So contraction occurs when the two words combine to the extent that the two are pronounced as one word or one syllable. For example, words like cannot. The contraction is can't. Can't. Do not. Do not. We change it with don't. And I have, we change it with I've. The beauty of accent. So the beauty of the English language lies in pronunciation. Accent or stress lends naturalness and beauty to your English. If you can pronounce words clearly and stress properly, your English might sound like Thinglish, Tamlish, or Hinglish. In phonetics, accent or stress means expanding extra breath on a particular syllable in a word. It is a matter of greater prominence and greater audibility. Accent is very important to make your speech intelligible. For instance, look at the words career, career, and carrier, carrier, career, and carrier. Looking at the transcription, you can say there is a slight difference between the two in pronunciation. But you can bring out the difference between the two very clearly by accenting them on the right syllables. So in the word career, the accent is on the second syllable. And in the word career, the accent is on the first syllable. So that's all the explanation from me, a brief explanation from me about all of the materials that I've been studied throughout this semester. I thank to Miss Anisco Maria for lectured us throughout this semester, and I say thank you to all of my friends for always supporting me so that I can finish this final exam task. Maybe that's all. Sorry if I made any mistakes. Thank you. Wallahul muwaffiq ila aqwamit thoriq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.